Good morning, everyone, or whatever time it is when you're watching this. I am up early and feeling really good. It's nice once you've been sick and you start to feel better, how great it is to feel that feeling. But today I am going to show you how I make my own colored seam binding. So my stash was getting low. I needed to make a few for my journals here. So I got these out so I can pick out my colors that I want to use to try to match my journals. So I'm going to move these out of the way because I don't want them to get any ink on them, and talk a little bit about the seam binding. So I buy this on Amazon, and I will put a link down below. The price has gone up. I guess because of the demand, the price has gone up. But you still get a lot. You get 100 yards, which is quite a bit. And I haven't even gotten to halfway, and I've already made a ton of seam binding. Now you can use all different kinds of inks and dyes and things like that to color your seam binding. Today I'm going to use my Distress Oxide, and I might even use a little of my Distress paints. I usually like to cut these down into 1 yard pieces, and that's just my preference, but you can cut them down to whatever length you want. And then I have a few that are just 2 feet long. This is 3 feet, and that was 2 feet. And because for my littler journals, I didn't need 3 feet total. So I'm going to set these off to the side, and these are polyester, and I think it works, or rayon, I'm sorry, 100% rayon, and I think it works great. Now, I like to use a rubber glove just to kind of help keep my hand a little less inky than normal. And I will use it on, I usually just use it on one hand. You can put it on both hands. And I need my little water spray bottle. So I am going to start with, I'm going to try to make one that will look nice on this journal cover. So I'm going to try this Shabby Shutters and see how it looks. I might need to mix maybe a little bit of the mowed lawn with it, and then I'll do a pinkish one to go with it. So I'm doing 2 little seam bindings together. Now I like to crinkle the seam binding up first and get it wet. And so you just hold it in your hand and spritz some water. You can use any sort of spray bottle you have. I got this one a long time ago, and it works just fine. So you crumple it up and get it all nice and kind of crinkly and wet. And then I will just put some ink. I'll smush it down on the mat, and I'm going to do just a hint of this color as well, this mowed lawn. Now this one is not an oxide, it's just an ink. So it'll stay pretty true to color. But I'm going to mix them together and see if I like that. And then I just dip my wet seam binding down into the ink. And you can put as much or as little as you want on there. And it might be too, yeah, I need a little blue, I think, in there. I'm going to try a touch of salvaged patina and just see what happens. And mix that. And I'm going to set that aside. So I will crumple it up like this in a little ball, and I'm going to set it aside. And after it has set crumpled for a little bit, then I will kind of unravel it. But I like it to sit crumpled for a little bit so I can get the crinkly effect. So I am going to put a little bit more salvage patina down here. to start off trying to mix these two together from the get-go. And grab another little piece here. And I want to, again, scrumple that up. So when you're trying to match colors and things like that, it can be a little bit of trial and error, but I think that's fun. And I love mixing colors together because then you get a really unique look. Let's see how that turns out. Oh, I'm liking that a little bit better. Yeah, it's a little less green than the first one. And then I will write down in a notebook the color combo that I used. So yeah, I think that works nicely. I could probably even do just a little bit more salvaged patina if I wanted to. But I think I'm going to go with that. And I'll wad that up and set that over. And then let me show you a pink one, just so you can kind of get some different color perspectives. So I am going to try to match up with the pink strawberries there. Isn't that the sweetest thing? And I'm thinking this picked raspberry might work, and I don't know if I really need any other colors with it, but we shall see. But yeah, so if you already have some inks and paints and sprays, then you know, you can go ahead and pick up some seam binding and give this a try. And once these have dried, I have sprayed them with water, and they do not bleed. They hold up really well, so I'm pleased with that. Get that wet and spritz that with a little water. And this is going to be pretty intense, I'm thinking. Let's see. Oh no, that's quite lovely, actually. Yeah, that picked raspberry is pretty. How pretty is that? And I spritz it with quite a bit of water. So I think if you don't use any water, or just a little bit of water, the color will definitely be a little bit brighter. But I kind of like that less intense color there. I think that's quite nice. So let me do another one with a little less water and see if we see a difference there. So I know on the black mat it's probably hard to see that distress ink. They're a little more translucent than the oxides, so that's why you don't see them as well. So I'm just gonna do like a couple spritz of water this time and see if we see a difference in the intensity of the color. Oh yeah, yeah. So that's another really good tip is if you're wanting a bolder color, then don't dilute it as much with the water, because you can see here's the first one there. And that one is definitely a little more pink. Yeah, I like both of those actually. I think either one of those would be a good option. All right, and next I am gonna do a red one. And then I will come back here at the end and show them to you after they have dried, so you can see what they look like once they've dried. So the other color I am wanting to try to match is this red and this strawberry here. So I pulled out candied apple, but I think I'm gonna mix a little pink with it. because candied apple is pretty intense. And you can see the oxides, you can see them more clearly because they are more opaque. All right, I'm gonna try just a pinch of the kitsch and a pinch of the pickled. And let's see what this makes. I have more red down there, so I'm guessing that'll be more prominent. And I am going to mix them together just to see what it makes. Oh, I like that. Just skosh more water. Yeah, that's looking a little strawberry colorish to me, I think. How pretty. Yeah, that's quite nice. And that might also work. I was wanting another color to go with the green, and I think that'll work nicely on that too. Isn't this fun? I just love doing this. And the way to do it is, you know, just make a whole bunch at once, and then you'll have it in your stash. But then if, you know, you need to make some specific colors for a certain project, then you can always do that. I think that is stunning. I'm going to see if I can get another, I want a short one. I want one of my 2 feet one. I think that's 2 foot one. I'm going to see if I can get some more out of this one. So it's as simple as that. So I'll finish this one up. I'll let all these dry, and then I'll come back and show you how they look. Yeah, so that's a little less intense than this one, but I still think it's gorgeous. So I think those, yeah, I might try one more with maybe a little bit less pink, and then we'll see. All right, I'll be back. While I was making more of these, I thought I would show you the difference of if you didn't wet your seam binding before you dipped it into the ink, kind of showing you what happens with the seam binding. So I pulled out lumberjack plaid because I'm thinking that might look nice for this kind of strawberry red color I'm going for. That's, I just did one here, and I think that looks pretty good. But I put the lumberjack plaid down here. I put way too much, but that's okay. And so I wet that, but I'm not going to get the seam binding wet first. And what should happen is you should see the seam binding just soak this up, and it's going to, I think coverage will be a little more intense, and sometimes it's hard to get it all over the seam binding. You see how there's certain white areas, so it takes a little more effort to try to get complete coverage on the seam binding. So that's one of the reasons I kind of like wetting the seam binding first, because you get a little bit more complete coverage. The ink tends to spread along the seam binding while it's wet better than dry. So you see, as I've wetted that seam binding, I've been able to get it to spread a little bit more. And again, it's not as crinkled, but I mean, I can still wad it up and crinkle it. But I just kind of wanted to show you the difference between wetting the seam binding before you put it in the ink and not wetting the seam binding before you put it in the ink. I am back, and these seam bindings have dried, so I wanted to show you what they look like completely dried. We'll start with these first. These were the first ones we did here. So We started off with the shabby shutters, and we used a little bit of mowed lawn. So that's this one here. And then we did the shabby shutters with salvage patina, and that's this one here. And then this one is the salvage patina and the shabby shutters, but just a little bit more diluted. And I think these, either this one or this one, will be great for this little journal here. So I'm excited about that. And then the next ones we did were these here. And on these, I started off with the picked raspberry, and then I added in a little bit of kitsch flamingo and kind of mixed those together. And I do think that they'll work. Look at that together. Isn't that so cute? So I think that's a really good combination. And I think this one would even work on this journal here. Yeah, I think that'll look darling. And we can have a little bit of green if we want to. Or we can do 2 pinks. Yeah, so I think those will work great. And then here is the picked raspberry. And then I added in a little bit of... what was it called? Fired brick. So I added in just a smidge of the fired brick with these two here. And I think those could work on this journal. Look how nice that looks. Or even on this journal. But I was trying to go for a little bit more of a pinky pink. And so here I brought out lumberjack plaid. And so we got a little bit more of a pink on that one. So that was lumberjack plaid just all by itself. These two here. And then this was just the pickled raspberry all by itself, which I think is really pretty. And I think that even looks pretty on these journals. Even this one here. So, but I think my favorites for the journals, I think any of these will work. And then I think these 2 greens will work. I think this green actually, like these 2 together, will look really cute on here because of the green. And I think this would also look really cute on this one as well. Tie it into a little bow on the front. Like that. Really cute. So the other thing I just wanted to show you guys is that if you spray a little bit of water on these, and I store these in these Ziploc bags. I just find it helpful to store them in a Ziploc bag. So I'm going to spray one with a little bit of water and see if we get any pickup. And I'm not going to use these because I'm going to let these sit for a while. So this one's been sitting, so I'm going to spray it with some water like that. And then I'm just going to press it on the napkin here. And look, there's no ink that comes off when these get wet. So I think that's a really great tip. So I hope this inspires you to make your own seam binding. I think they're just so fun and crinkly, and you can make your own colors that you need for a specific project, or you can just mass make a whole bunch of them. But I love doing it. And I'll link down below the seam binding that I buy over on Amazon. All right, thank you all so much for watching. And I will catch y'all in the next video. Bye.